And it takes us to the topic. We're going to speak about the big why today and connecting that with your purpose, all setting all together. All right, with the big why. Yeah, you want to take us away?
Yeah, something that Jim Rohn said. He said that if your big why gets stronger, your how gets easier.
Please repeat that for us.
Yeah, if your big why gets stronger, your how gets easier. So if you have your fixed big why, you know why you get out of bed, you know why you do that, then the how you do it gets easier because then you find a way to do what you want to do.
So that means that you don't have to think about the how part.
Yes.
Yeah, because it will. You don't need motivation to get into action into the how part.
Correct. Because you've got the actions, you know what to do. You don't always have the motivation to do that. But if you have a strong why, that follow automatically.
Yeah, and I also think if it doesn't give you clarity about the how to, then go revisit your big why. Maybe it is not your big why. You must go very deep. I think it's 5 levels deep to get to that big why.
Yeah.
And you keep on asking, okay, why is this important? Why is this? Why is this? And there's a whole exercise, in fact, in the MRA, that you can do your whole big why. And also remember, the big why also gives us that purpose and focus. The focus that we need to get into action. The focus on the how to. In our market center, we've got but think big, aim high, act bold. That is exactly the clarity that the big why will give you.
The more I read about concepts like the big why, the more I discovered that it's not Candy Williams that have this concept, but all the big companies in the world, all the successful people that you read about, have that one big why that they're striving for. And that's the thing that keeps them going. That's the thing that drives them to success. And that's a big thing that we must collect from them and take from them away.
Yeah, I think it's very much a link to the neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. They in the coaching there is a whole massive exercise that you can do, that goes even deeper than the MRA. But we don't want to overwhelm you with that. So just start with that big why remember, your big why drives your purpose and it gives clarity and it fuels your commitment. It tells you where you're going to go because, we can set all of these goals and then we don't know where to go.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got these goals. Remember, we said earlier in the week, and you've got this dream. Okay, but what now? How do I get to? All right, so clear goals, create focus and momentum. Remember, consistency over intensity. That is what will create the momentum. And that is what will drive your actions and then results. You want to add something here?
Yeah, and that's very true. If you don't focus on your why, there's no clarity. You've got no focus.
And if you feel you can't get going, I always look now 10 years into this company and on my personal journey. I look back and I often observe also my own journey as well as people around me. And I look, some people will make it, some will not. And unfortunately, that is part of life. It is not very nice for me to know that. But however, I cannot do everything for everybody. I cannot take the actions. I can help them to discover their big why. And that's sad for me to see people not living up to their potential, but you can see that they have so much potential. And here's something that James Shetty says, overthinking kills dreams. If we overthink about something, if we overthink about the action you need to take, it's going to kill your dream. You're not going to be able to get into action and let that momentum go.
You want to formulate your big whys well. Don't overthink. What comes to mind first is important. Write it down.
And it must also be emotional. It can't just be logical. You got to feel this big why. It's not something that is only going to be here. This is where your mind and your heart coherence comes in. That must be aligned. And when you feel that big why, then you know it is alive.
Must have a trembling inside.
Yes, and it must always give you that the goosebumps, that emotional feeling that your eyes want to tear up because you are really feeling that. That is a big one. And for those of you that want to register, maybe for Quantum Leap, Quantum Leap is in 2 weeks' time. We will help you discover your big why there, and you're going to start feeling it, get purpose in your life. And I also think goals should stretch you instead of overwhelm you. It shouldn't be something that gets you stuck. And I think this is where we often get stuck when we set goals. When we do goal setting, okay, then we get stuck. We're like, no, okay, I've got the perfect 135, I've got a 411, or maybe you haven't even gone that far. You are just stuck at the goal setting and you haven't even been able to do your 135 or your 411. Go back to your big why. Why are you doing this?
That's what you get you up in the morning.
Exactly, exactly. I think we must share these 4 concepts of a big why before we go into. I'm not sure if there's going to be time for the questions, but I think we must do this. So you want to share the very first one for us?
Yes, I think one of the core concepts of a big why is it's bigger than money.
Oh.
Your big why must not be money.
Yeah.
Etc. The millionaire estate Gary said that money is just a marker, not the mission.
Money is good for the good it can do. It enables you to do things. Yes, it's not the ultimate. Well, the second one is it pulls you forward when motivation fades. When you have that big why, and it is the real big why, you will start gaining momentum. You will be able to take that first step.
Or when there's a shift in the market, when things are going hard, when you've got trouble on the horizon.
Exactly. Number 3, you want to take us?
Yes, your big why clarifies and prioritize your choices.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, your big why becomes your decision filter. This is where you learn to say no and saying yes to certain things. And whatever you're saying yes to, you're going to be saying no to something else. Boundaries. And when you are saying no to something, you're saying obviously yes to something. And by also not making a decision, you are choosing not to make the decision as well.
Yeah, and without a big why, without understanding your big why, everything is sort of important for you. And then you don't get to the 20% that really give you 80%.
Exactly. And that brings us to the one thing. What is that one thing that I can do that everything else will be easier or unnecessary? If you stop doing certain things and people don't notice, let it go. We are almost wanting to control everything, and we got to let our control go. Let it go. Yes. It anchors discipline. Oh, and discipline definitely gets you into those habits and get you into action. Well, in the models, the big why provides the emotional leverage to do the boring, repetitive, high payoff activities like lead generation, tracking your numbers, and building systems. There is boredom in this master, but that is what you're going to thank yourself one day for being into this boredom mastery part of your business.
Yeah, motivation lasts 3 days or 4 days.
Exactly.
And then the motivation is going to go back to track where you were. But when you have discipline and form the habit of having discipline into your lead gen, that will keep going forever.
Yeah, that's exactly why New Year's resolutions don't work. It's a motivation for a few days and it's energy, but then it fades because then you have to face the hard things and the actual do. And motivation is not going to keep you going if you haven't been intentional making decisions to change habits and to why are you doing this?
Yeah.
All right.
I think the third one is big why must be personal and non-negotiable.
I love this one. That is a true big why. It must be true to you. Mustn't be somebody else's big why. You can't borrow it from your spouse or from a friend. I can't live your big why. You can't live mine. You must choose your very, very, very own.
Yeah. And
it's
not negotiable. You can't one day have it and one day don't have it. That must be your compass where you are going to.
And it comes to our values. What is the values that you believe in? If you believe in certain things, you will draw and feel attracted to those, and you will also attract people like-minded to the values that you believe in. Yeah, that's big. And then also clarity before strategy. Get clarity about your big why before you putting a strategy in place, which will be your 411 and your 135 and then go into the time blocking. All right, number 6, the very last one. It connects today's action to a long-term life. Yes. So what actions you are taking today you are committing and connecting it to the future self of you.
And when we must go lead gen, when the clock strikes 9 and we know we have to lead gen, we sometimes forget why we do that. We think about the day, we think we're wasting time. 20 people is not going to sell their homes that are on a phone, and you've got a lot of excuses. But then you forget your future self. You forget your long-term life, your plan, that you big why that you have for your long-term. And once you keep that in mind, once you put that on the wall, to look at every day, you'll realize that today's boring work leads to your future self, what you are going to.
Don't get into the avoidance trap, because we often want to avoid. We know we need to do this, but we're avoiding it with distractions or things that are not important. We're like, oh, let me quickly check my social media. Let's scroll TikTok. Those things are bad for you.
I think it's time for 3 questions.
Okay, let's do 3 questions. I love it. I love it, Peter. Yes, I see we do have 3 minutes. All right. The very first one is, what do I truly want from my real estate career? Something that you can only answer yourself. The next one, why is this goal important